Hi, I'm professional sports handicapper Ross Benjamin. It's Thursday, June the 25th, and it's time for another edition of my NFL regular season win totals. It's part 23 of a 32-part series in which we cover every NFL team, look at the regular season win totals, and then make a pick at the end of each one of these videos. Today, it's going to be the Arizona Cardinals, and as we speak, the Cardinals right now, a consensus of the offshore and Las Vegas Sportsbook shows their regular season win total set at 7.5. And to go over that number, it comes at moneyline odds of minus 120 and under at moneyline odds of minus 110. This is an Arizona team that was 5-10-1 a season ago, finishing dead last in the NFC West. And they're in an awfully tough division. If you look at last year's standings, three of the four teams in the NFC West, with the exception of Arizona, finished with winning records. In those three teams, the Rams, Seahawks, and 49ers combined for a 33-15 record, which is a 688 win percentage. Awfully tough to compete when you have teams in your division of that caliber. Now, as far as their offense goes, Kyler Murray's coming off what I consider to be a terrific rookie campaign, in which he threw for over 3,700 yards, and he also completed over 64% of his passes, 20 touchdown passes against 12 interceptions. He also ran for an additional 544 yards and ran for 4 touchdowns as well. So an awfully productive campaign for rookie quarterback Kyler Murray, who will now be entering his second year, and you got to think he's going to take a bit of a jump in year two, especially when you add a weapon like DeAndre Hopkins, who comes over in a trade from the Houston Texans, in which Arizona just absolutely robbed Bill O'Brien and the Texans, a head-scratching trade in terms of what Houston received in return. And you look at Hopkins' numbers over the last 3 years. This is a guy who's hauled in 315 pass receptions for over 4,100 yards and scored 15 touchdowns while doing so. And then he'll be complemented by a couple of pretty good receivers in their own right. When you look at the veteran Larry Fitzgerald, certainly on the downside of his career. But having said that, last year he totaled 75 pass receptions and scored 4 touchdowns. And then the up-and-coming Christian Kirk out of Texas A&M, that young receiver, he totaled 68 catches last year and accumulated for over 800 yards of total yards from scrimmage between rushing and receiving. So I think those two, meaning Fitzgerald and Kirk, are going to benefit most from the presence of Hopkins, who are certain to draw a lot of double teams from opposing defenses this year. They're a little weak at the tight end position, need a lot more production out of Max Williams, who hasn't been able to do so. Pretty good run-blocking tight end, but his receiving numbers leave a lot to be desired. Their offensive line was pretty good blocking last year, run blocking, I should say, as the Cardinals finished 10th in rushing in the NFL, averaging a bit over 124 yards per game. But it must be noted, those numbers are a little bit askew when you have a quarterback that runs for over 500 yards. And most of that yardage, I should say, did not come on design runs. They came in the form of scrambles and him creating when nobody else was open. So in any event, not a bad job of run blocking. And a lot had to do with the midseason trade that brought in Kenyon Drake from the Miami Dolphins. In 8 games with the Arizona Cardinals, Drake ran for over 600 yards. He also caught 27 passes for 171 yards and scored 8 touchdowns. I mean, you equate that over a 16-game season, that's close to 1,300 yards rushing for Drake, 16 touchdowns and 54 catches. That's not bad. And that's over 1,600 yards of total offense from scrimmage. So if he could duplicate those types of numbers this year, the Arizona Cardinals, with the addition of Hopkins and with Fitzgerald and Kirk on the outside, have the potential of being a very good offensive team. However, the offensive line, we praise them for the run blocking. Their pass blocking certainly needs to improve. They allowed 50 sacks last year, and that's with one of the more mobile quarterbacks in football, and Kyler Murray. Now, you can't cast all of the blame on the offensive line. There were situations where Murray showed his inexperience and held on to the ball too long or got a little daring with his mobility, and it cost them. However, I look for big things from the Arizona offense this year. Their defense, on the other hand, was absolutely horrific a season ago. They were number 32 in total defense, allowing 402 yards per game. They were 28th in scoring and 31st in pass defense as opposition quarterbacks threw for over 280 yards per game against Arizona last year. That needs to improve. I mean, they have a couple of good ones in the secondary, and Patrick Peterson, the cornerback, and safety. His name is Buda Baker. Buda Baker's a tackling machine, and Peterson still could play pretty good one-on-one coverage, even though he's getting up there in age. The problem in the secondary is they have two other projected starters right now that are entering their second year in the NFL, so they could be exposed. The Cardinals did bring in a couple pieces as far as unrestricted free agents, one being nose tackle Jordan Phillips, who's coming off a career year with the Buffalo Bills in which he had 9.5 sacks, although if you look inside the numbers, he was very susceptible against the run, and that's not good news when you're a nose tackle in a 3-4 defense. And also the Vondre Campbell, the linebacker who started 15 games for the Atlanta Falcons a season ago. He also comes in. The problem is them adapting to the new scheme defensively, and in a off season in which it's been plagued by COVID-19, where mini camps have been excluded and a lot of virtual workouts and virtual meetings. Now, having said that, that's a lot different than on-field participation. So we'll see how that works out, not only for the Cardinals defense, but also for teams that lack continuity going into this season. Look, this is going to be an Arizona Cardinals team. It's going to be exciting to watch. They're going to score plenty of points, and I think they're going to be a little bit better defensively, but then again, they have nowhere to go but up after looking at their numbers from a season ago. I still think their defense will be by far their weak point. They're going to give up their fair share of points. A lot of Arizona games probably are going to be high scoring, and you're probably going to be looking at totals in the high 40s and low 50s at times. Having said that, the object of this video is to make a selection on their over and under as far as the regular season win total. I'm going under the total of 7.5. One of these situations where it looks like the Cardinals could be hovering right around that number, 7 wins or so. Possibly they can get over at 8, but I'm going to take my chances on going under the number. I still think they're a year away. They're going to be better than they were a season ago, but in a tough division like the NFC West, it makes it awfully hard to put up a winning record or even get at 8-8 this year. I'm going under 7.5 at moneyline odds of -110. Until the next time, good luck and God bless.